कनेडियन हाई कमीशन में मैं मौजूद हूँ इस वक्त और एक बड़ी ही मुनफरिद किस्म की डिफरेंट किस्म की अभी हमारा एक डिस्कशन सेशन होने जा रहा है कनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर के साथ जो कि हैं लेस्ली स्कैनियन। और ये चंद साल पहले पाकिस्तान आई थी, बल्कि 2-2.5 साल पहले ये पाकिस्तान आई थी, पोस्ट हुई थी यहाँ पर। और उसके बाद फिर कनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर ने कौन कौन से ऐसे स्टेप्स लिए जो कि ख़वातीन की एम्पावरमेंट में मदद फराहम करते हैं, कौन कौन सी कोलैबोरेशंस हैं पाकिस्तान और कनाडा के दरमियान जो कि दीगर शोबों में होती हैं, इन सारी चीज़ों पर बात करेंगे। ये भी जानेंगे कि पाकिस्तान के हवाले से व्हाट्स हर फेवरेट फूड, व्हाट इज़ हर गो टू प्लेस, रिलैक्स करती हैं तो कहाँ जाती हैं, पाकिस्तान के हवाले से क्या फ़र्स्ट इंप्रेशन था व्हेन शी लैंडेड हेयर, क्या चीज़ें पसंद हैं, ये सारी बात करेंगे। हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं हाई कमिश्नर लेस्ली स्कैनियन। हेलो, गुड इवनिंग जी, हाउ आर यू?
Thank you, very well.
Good to see you. Finally, we meet. So, since how many years are you in Pakistan?
I've been here for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. So I was right when I was introducing you. So 2.5 years. How was your time here? What have you done all these years? And what is your favorite food? Tell us about your experience here in Pakistan.
Well, I've traveled all over the country and I've eaten food from all over the country and I've loved every minute of it. I must say, I'm impressed by the diversity of Pakistan. The people are different because of, I guess, if you go up north, obviously different populations have come through at different periods of history. And you're visiting places like the like Altit obviously, but the Baltit Fort. And then you go down to Karachi and it's a really bustling city and a very different mood and you're in Karachi. Oh yeah, it's just, I think in Lahore, visiting the old city and with the Aga Khan Cultural Services, and we went climbing up the scaffolding to the very, like way up tall. And then you've got the historians telling you about the mosaics and why you have a tiger and when was that representing, and it was just amazing. And I was asking the chef up in Altit, we had chap shiro, so yak meat in that deep fried bread, and it was so good. But we had like all this like keema karela, minced paratha, and I have so much Pakistani food. But in Canada, I'd never had it before coming here.
And you have no problems with the spice level?
No, but people here assume that I'm not going to like spice. So if I go out for dinner, people say, "Oh, you can't have that. It's going to be spicy." And I'm just like, "No, I like spice. It's okay." But there's an impression that we as foreigners probably don't like spice. I love very hot, spicy food.
Right. So how is your own cooking? Have you tried cooking any Pakistani food?
We have cooked some. I had the chef do some workshops with Canadian diplomats, and it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what other cultural sites have you visited, and what has been your favorite place so far?
Well, I think
something that you have been really impressed with,
yeah.
a place that you have been mesmerized with.
You know, the museum in Karachi, the Mohata Palace Museum, I went and saw a photo exhibit of Jinnah's first year as Governor General of Pakistan. The photos were amazing, but the space was beautiful and calm, and the history of the museum, the man who built it, and it went through a couple of different religious ownerships, and it was a very moving experience, I must say, to be in that house and to feel the ghosts of the past. You know, but the photography was fantastic, and I think that really moved me. So the other museum I would highlight is the National History Museum in Lahore, which talks about partition, and the displays are of the highest quality for museum. And you need hours there. They've got recordings of people talking about their experiences. They've got artifacts that are left behind, photos. It's just an incredible museum in Lahore. I highly recommend that one as well.
Okay, so if somebody who hasn't been to that museum still, you must visit. So coming towards this Ambassador for the Day program, what is it? How whoever thought of it? What was the idea behind it? Of course, it's about women. So can you explain that to our viewers?
For many of us who have served as ambassador overseas, in many countries it's a very normal thing we do every year. And when I got to Pakistan, I could see that nobody had done it here. So I suggested, our public affairs team suggested when we were talking, they said, well, let's do it. And we said, great. So the first year we did it, we had a girl come from Chitral, because we do a lot of programming up in Chitral for women's empowerment through sport.
And yeah, sports, yes.
Yeah, and we had this great day, and we had her meet, UN agencies, and we had a food fair at the Serena, Canada, Pakistan Food Fusion event, and anyway, great day. And then last year, 6 embassies got together, and we had 6 girls. And again, we had lots of activities all day, but we also did a cultural night at PNCA, and it was fantastic, including the Banff Mountain Film Festival. But every embassy participating had their own cultural space, and it was a great evening. So last year was very dynamic. So this is our third year doing it, and because of timelines, we weren't able to coordinate with the same embassy. So we're doing our solo this year. But
and what is the experience that the ambassador for a day, a young girl, gets when she's the ambassador for a day?
Well, the first year we did it, I handed over my Twitter account to my young ambassador, and she tweeted all day. She tweeted as ambassador, yeah. But now you can't tweet, like technically. So it's not easy. Like, we are tweeting about it, but I can't hand my phone because my phone can't tweet because I can't access Twitter on my iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
So it changes that, because that was really fun to give her the account, because she was tweeting, we had her chair meetings, and it really gives a chance for a girl to see what leadership looks like. Like today, we had 7 ambassadors. We had Maliha Lodi to talk about foreign policy, and she could ask questions about Pakistan's foreign policy, about our policy here in Pakistan. What are we trying to accomplish? And she chaired a meeting this morning of program managers. She's meeting with Canadian investors this afternoon. And then tonight we have a cultural activity here, and then she'll be giving a speech.
Right, the Banff Film Festival as well.
Yeah.
So how is Canada contributing when it comes to women empowerment and, access to education, access to sports, opportunities for women and girls, especially when we are badly hit by climate change?
Well, climate change is an interesting issue in Pakistan. It's something we work a lot on, and when this catastrophic flooding happened in 2022, Canada was very quick. We contributed about 58 million Canadian dollars to the response, both to mitigate and to adapt. But the literature says that climate catastrophes like these floods are going to become more frequent. So the emphasis really has to be on adaptation and on building to mitigate.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how much of that, there's a lot of technical capacity building that has to happen in Pakistan. And I think the world is looking at this and saying, how can we support the region more broadly? But we're participating in the Green Climate Fund, and Pakistan has 10 projects coming out of that, and those are focused on climate resilient communities, on rebuilding in a way that adapts to the future, because it is a changing world. So we have various programs through which we program to support Pakistan as it considers how it is going to respond to climate and environmental challenges.
Right, and because we talked about tonight, the evening and the Banff Film Festival, what is that about? What are the films showcasing?
Yeah,
what is the theme?
Yeah, in many ways it's about women in sport. And I think for us to empower girls to see themselves in roles they wouldn't normally see themselves in. So several of the films are girls doing sport. And that to us is really important. But it's not just about girls, it's about the whole community seeing girls do sport. And when we do our support up in the north for women's empowerment, we're working with elders, we're working with religious leaders, because it has to be the community that wants to see their girls succeed. So these films they're promoting, consideration of the environment, adventure tourism, and just giving people an idea of what the land of the possible looks like.
Right, yeah. Right. And how does Canada leverage itself in G7 when we talk about climate change, women empowerment, sustainability?
Well, those are all top priorities for Canada. As you know, we're the chair of the G7 this year, and the Leaders Summit is in Kananaskis in June, I think. But those are all the primary issues of G7, generally speaking. But Canada has been we have a feminist international assistance policy. We have a feminist foreign policy. And I will say, as far as we go, when I went to Poland as ambassador in 2018, we had a 50% group of women ambassadors, and that included in our G7 missions. And we had 50% of our cabinet was female. This is part and parcel of everything we do. And with Canada leading the G7 this year, that's top of mind, is gender empowerment, women's empowerment. So.
Right. So trade, if we talk about trade, that is one area that is always helping to uplift communities, and trade between Pakistan and Canada is also growing. So what are the areas, what are the fields where Pakistan and Canada, both countries, are collaborating?
Well, yeah, not so much collaborating, but Canada and the United States are both major exporters of canola and oilseeds to Pakistan. When I arrived in November 22, that's when the government overnight shut down GMO canola. And it was a real disaster for importers. The Canadian exporters had been paid, but the Pakistani importers who had paid for the product lost all their money because the rules prevented the product from being unloaded. So since then, it hasn't operationalized yet to allow the product back in. But we used to be like $1 billion sort of a two-way trade. But that is our biggest product for Pakistan. But as far as investment goes, there are several franchises here like Tim Hortons, Second Cup, Expectation, Mary Brown's Chicken is coming in soon. And yeah, but the biggest, I think, we have a lot of companies focusing on clean energy. We have JCM Power down outside of Karachi, and they do, through wind turbines, they're doing renewable clean energy, which is fantastic and super needed, especially with the pollution problems here in Pakistan, but also the unstable grid, especially, I don't know if you follow some people on Twitter who talk about how frequently the grid goes down. But we also have the Barrick Gold investment in Baluchistan, which is Pakistan's biggest incoming investment. And Barrick is following Canadian mining standards, which are very clear on social development. So Barrick is building schools to educate the adults who will work in the mine. They're building schools for the children of the community. They're using,
and the miners.
And they're using renewable energy. They're using solar, wind. They're redeveloping the rail grid to get their products to market. So they are a force for good in that region. There is pushback from some Baluch who feel that it wasn't with the agreement of the people. But of course, the Baluch government is very invested in this, as is the government of Pakistan. But this is going to be, if this works out well, which it hopefully will and should, it'll be an incredibly good calling card for every other foreign investor who's considering coming to Pakistan.
Very interesting, and yes, I agree with you So finally, before we move towards the organic garden, let me tell my viewers that इधर एक बड़ा ज़बरदस्त organic garden है जो कि High Commissioner हमें visit कराएंगी. But before going out, quickly, I would like to know, what is your favorite quote, or do you have a quote in mind for the Pakistani women, because you have celebrated National Women's Day in advance this year. So do you have a quote in mind for Pakistani women?
Do you know what? I don't have a quote, but I will reference Gina's comments about the role of women in society. First of all, he was a secular man who didn't believe religion had a role in government and in politics. But he also believed that women were partners and that women should be equally present in the political sphere. And that, to me, is very powerful in terms of what role women should be playing in every sphere of life. Obviously, we're equal partners in whatever happens in a country. So that's what I would say.
Okay, so let's move out.
Okay.
Let's go. Organic garden. Viewers.
When I was in Poland, we became the only mission in the entire network to have a gold classification for environmental sustainability.
Really?
When I came here, I started the same project again here, and we no single-use plastic. We have an electric vehicle to move between the different compounds when we're doing work. Obviously I live here, I don't have to bike to work, but this organic garden, the chef works with a gardener so that we grow what we want to serve. And so whenever we're building a menu for an official event, we use what we have in the garden. So today, for example, we had our lunch with our ambassador for a day. We used our cabbage in here, we used our raquette, and we made a warm cauliflower salad. We do composting, so the earth is of very high quality because it's all composted, contributing to the earth to make it awesome. So this is all, every time you come to the Canadian official residence, you're eating organic produce from our own garden.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I just love it. And
eggplant, you have eggplant as well.
We have eggplant, and depending on what's in season.
What's your favorite vegetable? What veggies do you like?
Do you know what? I love eggplant.
Oh.
But I spent 6 years in Japan, and they have very small, beautiful little eggplants. But the cauliflower, the way the chef cooks them is pretty fantastic. We use a lot of tomatoes. We basically, when you come to the Canadian residence for an official meal, you're having a Canadian meal. So you're going to have salmon, everything is Canadian. But when I'm eating on my own, I always have Pakistani. I love it. I have it every day for lunch. I love it.
You're a spicy food fan.
Yeah, totally. But this is really, I love coming out here. It makes me feel energetic, I think, and fresh.
अब हम मौजूद हैं शिज़ा सरफराज के साथ, जो कि कैनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर हैं फॉर अ डे. अब आप सोच रहे होंगे कि हाई कमिश्नर फॉर अ डे कैसे हो सकती हैं, या ये कैसे पाकिस्तानी कैनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर हो सकती हैं. सो ये कैनेडियन हाई कमीशन का प्रोग्राम है जिसके हवाले से आपने हमारी बातचीत और गुफ्तगू सुनी है हाई कमिश्नर के साथ भी. कैनेडियन हाई कमीशन का एक प्रोग्राम है जिसमें वो हर सूबे से, हर इलाके से पाकिस्तान की एक बच्ची को कैनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर का खिताब देते हैं एक दिन के लिए, और फिर वो अपनी ज़ाहिर एक्टिविटीज़ करती है, वो मसरूफ़ होती है, उस दिन आकर लोगों से मिलती है. सो हम जानेंगे इस दफ़ा कि किसको उन्होंने चुना है और उनका कितना पोटेंशियल है पाकिस्तान में, वो क्या कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहती हैं आगे आने वाले अपने ज़िंदगी के सालों में. हमारे साथ शिज़ा सरफराज मौजूद हैं. अस्सलाम वालेकुम शिज़ा.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
थैंक यू शिज़ा फॉर गिविंग अस टाइम. सबसे पहले तो इस प्रोग्राम के बारे में बताएं, आप कैसे सिलेक्ट हुई, कहाँ से आपका ताल्लुक़ है, थोड़ा सा हमारे नाजरीन को अपने बारे में बताएं और करती क्या हैं आप?
मेरा नाम शिफ़ा यूसुफ़ज़ई है और बेसिकली मैं सियालकोट से बिलोंग करती हूँ, पंजाब से। और वहाँ पे कैनेडियन फ़ंड फॉर लोकल इनिशिएटिव जो है, वहाँ पे वो लोग एनजीओ में थ्रू बेदारी है उनकी, वहाँ से मैंने ये सारा कोर्स किया ई कॉमर्स का। और वहाँ पे डिफरेंट कोर्सेज़ जो पाकिस्तान में लड़कियों को वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए जो काम कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे, कि एक लड़कियाँ कैसे ज़्यादा अपना सारा कर सकती हैं, अपना रोल कैसे प्ले अदा कर सकती हैं पाकिस्तान की तरक्की के लिए। और मैंने भी वहाँ से ही अपना कोर्स किया है।
सही है। तो अब आपके आगे फ्यूचर के क्या प्लान्स हैं? उस पे जाने से पहले आज का जो दिन है आपका जो गुजर रहा है वो कैसा गुजर रहा है? क्या एक्टिविटीज़ हैं, क्या आप कर रही हैं एज कैनेडियन हाई कमिश्नर फॉर द डे, क्या चल रहा है?
फ़र्स्ट ऑफ़ ऑल थैंक यू टू हाई कमिश्नर ऑफ कनाडा, जिन्होंने मेरा बहुत अच्छे से वार्मली वेलकम किया। और उसके बाद मेरी उनके मैनेजर्स के साथ एक मीटिंग हुई जो कि बहुत अच्छी रही। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा सारा कनाडा के बारे में एक्सप्लेन किया, पाकिस्तान के रिलेशंस के बारे में। उसके बाद हम लोग मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फॉरेन अफेयर्स में हमारी मीटिंग थी।
अच्छा।
यस, मैडम मरियम आफ्ताब के साथ, बहुत अच्छी लेडी हैं वो, बहुत अच्छी उन्होंने हमारा वेलकम किया और हमें मुझे गिफ्ट भी दिया।
ठीक है। तो शिज़ा, फाइनली ये बताएं कि आपका क्या प्लान है लाइफ के लिए, क्या करना है ज़िंदगी में आगे, क्या बनना है? ई कॉमर्स के साथ ही रहना है या ई कॉमर्स के अलावा कोई ऐसी चीज़ है जो आप करना चाहेंगी?
फ़र्स्ट तो मेरा जो पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है और जो मैंने किया है और जिसमें मैं इंटरेस्टेड भी हूँ और जिसमें काम भी मैं कर रही हूँ ऑलरेडी, मैं अपनी जॉब वगैरह भी कर रही हूँ अमेज़ॉन में। सो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस, जो मेरा इंटरेस्ट है वो सारा ई कॉमर्स की तरफ है। तो मैं अपना ई कॉमर्स का स्टोर बनाऊँगी, जो मैंने ट्रेनिंग भी बेदारी से ली है। सो मैं उसी फील्ड में रहना चाहूँगी।
ठीक है भाई। तो टेक्नोलॉजी, ई कॉमर्स, एआई, वो सारा जो सिलसिला है वो शिज़ा परसू करेंगी। थैंक यू सो मच शिज़ा फॉर योर टाइम और ऑल द बेस्ट। अभी तो दिन आपका बाकी है, अभी तो आप गुजारेंगी अपना टाइम हाई कमीशन में। नाज़रीन, पाकिस्तान की ख़वातीन में बेहद पोटेंशल है और जब हम पोटेंशियल की बात करते हैं तो उस पोटेंशियल के साथ वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ लेना भी जानती हैं, वो काम करना भी जानती हैं, वो मर्दों के शाना बशाना ज़िंदगी गुजारना चाहती हैं और वो पाकिस्तान की इकॉनमी में कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहती हैं। लेकिन उसके लिए ज़रूरत सिर्फ ये है कि उनको वो मौक़े फ़राहम हो, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ मिलें, उन तक एजुकेशन तक उनकी रसाई हो, फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस हो। और बस यही चीज़ें जो लड़कों को मिलती हैं वही लड़कियों को भी मिलें, तो पाकिस्तान की ख़वातीन क्या नहीं कर सकती।